actually think they don't want to deal with Mata's support Lee Sin right here because it's such an oddball, and he played so well in the semifinals with it.
You know, it almost seems like they're trying to bait out some sort of Leona pick from Mata here, too. They're leaving it open and saying, all right, you want to play Leona? Go for it. Well, makes Ozone wonder, does SKT have a good plan to shut that down?
The mind games are strong here, right? Annie may be picked up.
Wouldn't be a bad choice. They're going to lock it in.
Yeah, they'll take that away. So no Leona this game. And the Elise comes out immediately. Bengi and Dandy have defaulted this season heavily on Elise. Dandy playing 8 games with that champion, 4 games for Bengi so far. And the Sivir pickup as well. Remember, this is 3.15. The Sivir nerfs have taken effect.
That's right, but still a very strong champion throughout the game. A little bit
Let's talk about
game,
SK Telecom's kind of style that they've been running. They like to run these wave clear champions because they've been playing so aggressively in terms of pushing lanes. They kind of do this full press across the map right now where they keep everybody locked under turret. Faker plays these long range mages with high wave clear, takes out the minion wave, keeps his enemy mid laner farming under the turret, and it forces a lot of really tough decisions about where the jungler goes, because at that point it's like, which lane do you actually help in this situation? And so Dandy's going to be a really big key to victory here tonight. There's the Gragas pickup.
And will we see a Shyvana lock in? We will, so Looper going to be taking that Shyvana to the top lane.
Yeah, Dade opting for Gragas. Now, he had some terrible Gragas play at the World Championship, but the one game we saw him on Gragas in the group stage this season, he performed quite well. However, this seems more like a denial of Faker, and even though we've seen so many Nidalee bans against Dade, he's saying, I don't need that champion. This is a takeaway pick from Faker right here. And playing Nidalee into Gragas in the early levels is quite difficult because you just don't have that wave clear that Gragas has. Easy for him to push you under the turret.
It's so difficult to ban out or take away from a player like Faker, though. His depth at mid lane is really, really something else. Will we see that Renekton locked in for Impact, you think?
Now, interestingly, yeah, I mean, Impact has played a lot of Renekton when he can't get Shyvana. Yeah, I don't think we're going to see that. Faker likes to play Riven into Gragas.
Yeah, he does. And there's a Mundo, actually.
He has picked Riven into Gragas before, and that's exactly what's coming out.
There it is.
He did it against Ryu.
Look at the world's flashback there, too.
The only time Faker has played Riven so far this season was in the 3rd game of the semifinals between SK Telecom and KT Bullets. And while the rest of his team really underperformed that game and the KT Bullets maintained a lead, Faker was able to hard carry that game into a win. And it was in the same matchup, and there we go. We've got the Olaf coming in for the jungle pick, and it is on Vayne. Of course, very high synergy with Gragas. You can use that ultimate to give Vayne the duels that she so desires, and Mondu picking up Leona.
Yeah, this is not something we're used to from Mondu, but he's going to be rocking the Leona. He says, all right, I'm going to show you how it's done, Mata.
This is a really bizarre pick and ban phase.
Yeah,
and the reason why is because it's almost like these teams have swapped champions.
Yeah, exactly.
Impact has only played Mundo once this season. He's been really preferring that Shyvana. While Looper hasn't playing a lot of Shyvana, has been kind of favoring that Mundo pick. And then, of course, both junglers like Elise, like Olaf. And then the Gragas on Dade, not something we're used to seeing. And then the Leona heads over to Pumandu this time. So very, very kind of interesting takeaway back and forth pick and ban phase, resulting in some champions that some of these guys really haven't played that much.
That's right, and I'm not too worried about the Leona on Mondu. I mean, he is one of the best supports out there at hitting those skill shots. We've seen some other players have some kind of rough-looking solar flares on Leona, but I really doubt we're going to see that out of Mondu.
Yeah, the summoner spells here tell a story as well. Imp has taken Barrier, and Piglet has switched to Barrier at the last possible second. He was on Cleanse, so it's difficult to tell what they want to do right now. Vayne typically likes to go into those 1v2 lanes, but with Annie, you do have a high kill potential.
Indeed you do. Look at these intros, man. I like it. I feel like it's walking right out of the screen towards us. It's like Bengi and Dandy are in your living room right now. And you never know. I mean, the way they roam around the jungle, they could be behind your couch, under your couch. In the mid lane, Faker versus Dade. 2 MVPs doing battle in the finals for Champions Winter.
And this was dangerous because Faker shoved Ryu really hard with this Riven versus Gragas matchup in the last game that SK Telecom T1K played. And now, that said, Dade is ready for this. We've seen Faker counterpick Gragas before with Riven up. He knew it was coming, so it's all on him to see how he plays this early laning phase and whether or not Samsung Ozone has a plan to deal with Faker's Riven.
Yeah. And Mandu, of course, one of the tallest players in Korea. Him and Prey, man, they are pretty tall. I think Mandu's at least as tall as me, if not a little bit taller, actually.
Mandu's like 3 inches taller than you, I'd say.
No way.
Yep.
Maybe like 1 or 2. Whatever, Monte Cristo. Time to get into game number 1 here. SK Telecom K versus Samsung Ozone. The Champions Winter Finals start right now. Oh, that was some serious dubstep. I was worried about Castor Mountain falling down to that one. Here we go, guys. Welcome to Summoner's Rift and welcome to the Champions Winter Finals. Dade versus Faker in the mid lane. Samsung Ozone versus SK Telecom K. It's game number 1, and who will take an early lead in this crucial final match?
Yeah, just fans so far early on, and we do see Impact checking the brush right there for a delayed invade onto red with his cleaver. Nothing too interesting in terms of what we're seeing in starting items. Shield start onto Mandu.
Yep.
He's probably running pure armor runes. That is typically the way things go here in Korea for
Leona is
Leona players.
Insane if you run armor like that. I've been doing it a lot lately, and you just feel unkillable in lane.
I know Mata
really
runs armor, yellows, reds, and quints.
Yeah, can't blame him, man. I mean, when you walk into lane and the carry on the other team literally can't hurt you, it's a pretty strong advantage at level 1.
Yeah, it looks like we are going to see standard laning matchups right here, though. So Imp and Mata obviously very confident that they can handle the Sivir Leona lane.
That's right. Well, Mata in the lane, Imp ain't easy, right?
That's right. That's how it goes. Imp ain't easy. He's going to make it hard on himself, apparently. But nope, here's the lane swap coming in.
Ah, there we go. Okay.
So right now, ping's going down. So they saw Looper. And then immediately we see the rotation of Piglet and Mandu up into that top lane. Mundo looking like he's going to come in and check out what's going on at the blue buff.
That's right, he's going to try. Can he cause any trouble here, slowing down Looper with that infected cleaver? And Looper got to be a little bit careful here. He doesn't want to take too much damage early on. And there they go. So Dandy does get that blue buff. Mengu will get his as well. And meanwhile, we've got the bot lane for Samsung Ozone doing their thing. And in the top lane, Piglet and Mandu starting to go to work against Looper. Impact. Ah, there we go. He is going to recall. All right.
He's going to recall and then teleport probably. But an interesting first play that didn't really do much for SK Telecom. They did harass Looper, so he's going to have a hard time going through the jungle right there after having that little 1v1 in the jungle to protect his blue buff. So it didn't set him too far behind. And with both dual lanes piling the wave right now, there's not going to be too much of a delay. There's Faker.
Wow, a lot of damage onto Dade already.
This just looks a lot like what happened to
sure
Ryu.
Does. I think Faker's got this matchup down to his science.
Well, he's clearly quite confident, and with the amount of AoE CC and engage that SK Telecom's composition brings, and Faker going hard early, he's a level
Look
up.
at that, man. He's going hand. There's the Ignite. Dade flashes Faker with the flash as well. First blood goes to Faker, and he gets out clean.
Well, Della, I wondered if you picked Gragas that early, this is exactly what the KT Bullets did, and Faker loved that counter pick. Ryu had a really hard time in lane. He didn't die solo, though. A big mistake early on from Dade, not respecting Faker's all-in potential.
And Dade's got to be having some pretty alarming flashbacks right now after that. That's pretty terrifying. Bengi grabbing some wolves, doing a little bit of counter jungling. He may decide to turn around. It looks like from the minimap he's going to meet up with Olaf. Meanwhile, in the bot lane, Imp and Mata pushing as hard as they can. They need to make something happen. They need to make up for the fact that they just lost their mid laner early on.
Yeah, Dandy is just going with the 2v2 up there, trying to stop the better wave clear coming out of Sivir and make sure that they can win the turret race. In the meantime, Bengi deciding that since he can see Dandy up in that top lane, he wants to go ahead and go for some more of this counter jungling on that blue side jungle. So unconcerned, knows his mid lane is already ahead, knows his mid lane is winning. Faker comes back to lane. with an early Vamp Scepter. They've got to be careful, though, because Faker has no summoners.
It's very true. You do need to worry about it, but I think if you're going to trust anybody on Riven in the mid lane to live through any gank attempts, it's going to be Faker, but we'll see what happens. He does have to play it a little bit more cautiously after this. Like you said, no summoners, but never mind. Forget that, Faker. Ah, good ward. All right, that's going to help him spot some of those ganks coming in early on, and Dade just completely zoned out. There's the stun. Dade takes a big hit already. He cannot go toe-to-toe with Faker right now. He needs to be patient. He needs to not give up any more kills in that mid lane.
That's right, and the increased duo pressure is keeping Dandy up there as well, so Faker pretty much has free reign over the mid lane right now.
Yeah, it's not good
no
for
danger at all. Dade already falling behind significantly in terms of CS. Ozone's duo piling the wave once again before they go in.
Yep. Oh, Bengi thinking about coming in here as well.
Dandy's here too.
That's right. Oh, this is going to be a fight in the mid lane. Possibly Faker goes in on the Dade. Dade drinking to bait him out. Here comes Dandy, but Bengi coming in. Faker with a two-man knockup. They're going to chase him back under turret. Bengi taking a couple turret hits. He needs to be careful. There's the repel.
Bandu's there.
Oh, Bengi nearly goes down. Bandu coming in though.
Here comes Mana, both supports in the mid.
That's right, there's the flash. They try to slow down Faker, but Mandu over the top, going 2v1 to try to save his mid laner, and he'll be able to do that. Mana just didn't get there in time. A crazy chain of events, but everybody gets out okay.
Yeah, very close to death there for Bengi. He's got to be so careful when that happens, but with Bandu being on the right side, his team fleeing over. Imp is alone
in a little bit of trouble. 1v1 against Impact. That's not good. Mana coming back down just in time, and the minions nearly take down Imp. A close call for Samsung Ozone. They do not want to go down 2-0 in this game.
Yeah, a great reaction there from Impact to go ahead and take that. That advantage that he had in the 1v1. Imp just narrowly escaping with the help of a health potion and some health steal from his Doran's Blade.
Well, he was sub 100 hit points for sure. That was about as close as it gets.
Yeah, forcing the recall right now, so Piglet will get some increased turret pressure. Up there in top.
And meanwhile, Dade finally getting a little bit of breathing room, at least getting to farm under turret anyway without the threat of death.
Interesting. So Dade actually went for Phoenix Codex. He is not going for a Seeker's Arm Guard at all. So he's playing a little risky, even though he's already down by 15 CS in this laning phase.
Well, I think he realizes that if he wants to have any sort of positioning in that lane, he needs to be able to do damage to Faker, and getting that AP, getting that Fiendish Codex for a little bit of cooldown reduction too is going to help him, maybe have just enough punch to be able to strike back a bit.
Yeah, the thing though is that with the rest of his team, with Vayne, Shyvana, and Olaf helping him out, he actually has, his teammates have a lot of damage, and so him not dying, basically, it doesn't really matter that Dade's behind early because the rest of his team possesses enough damage and late game carry potential that even if he is behind, the most important thing is that he lands a very disruptive ultimate so that the rest of his teammates can focus people down and clean up the fight.
I'd agree.
So it's not the end of the world, and just based on,
Looper getting jumped on here by Mandu, but Dandy is there. They push Piglet back a little bit. There's the ultimate activated. Teleport coming in. Impact joins the fray. They get the slow. They get Looper. A kill once again for SK Telecom, and Impact showing Looper that he's not the only one who knows how to use teleport.
And again, SK Telecom barely escaping by the skin of their teeth right there, but not respecting that teleport coming in. However, this may give Ozone will not give them any kind of advantage as the tower falls down in the top lane. Piglet right there. They will trade 1 for 1. The question is there going to be a dragon fight coming in after this? Where is Piglet going to go? Is he going to rotate early?
Early Pink Ward getting taken down by Impact as well.
Now, Dragon Ward's already around the pit for Samsung Ozone. They've got the better vision setup right now. Faker's there, though. He's popped his ult.
Operation Save Private Ward.
Yeah, his ult's on cooldown, though, so that's going to be a little bit problematic. They should wait out his ultimate.
Oh, this is so dangerous. Faker getting chased away here. Samsung Ozone going for this dragon. Is there anything that SK Telecom can do to stop this? It looks like Ozone's got this one.
Piglet pushing in the top lane. He doesn't have much wave clear left, though. Not a lot of mana, and Samsung Ozone pulls themselves back in. 500 gold difference due to the CS, due to those kills. Still in favor of SK Telecom. Mana gets caught.
He flashes, he gets caught, he gets taken down very, very quickly. Still low, gets away. There's the solar flare. there. They do manage to take out Mata, but Mandu came in with that solar flare. Dandy on the run though now. Oh, there's a knockup and a double kill for Impact. It's not getting much better for Samsung Ozone as Imp may be about to lose his life. There's the flash. Will anyone chase? Pops the barrier as well. Ignite ticking down, and Mandu, he's gonna dive. There's the Zenith Blade, and Mandu goes for a bloodthirsty support kill. Under turret, manages to make it out. Even if he would have died, I would have typed Worth after that one.
Just not fast enough disengage from that objective. Samsung Ozone getting caught out a little bit, but Mandu coming up with some good Leona play. They needed to disengage from that, deal with Piglet in the top lane, and just go back as soon as possible. They got the objective they wanted, and they've got a lot of time. Samsung Ozone can outscale SK Telecom in the late game. If they're going even right now, they need to have confidence that their combination of Vayne, Olaf, and Shyvana will be able to take them through. Piglet Sivir's going to fall off the later the game goes on. We saw this happen when SK Telecom played Shyvana against Sivir in the semifinal, where Score just couldn't do anything to Impact by the late game.
Yeah, oh, speaking of Impact, getting condemned against the wall there. There's the stun from Mata as well. Now Mandu is coming down. They may have to disengage. Ultimate popped by Impact, and Imp out of position. What was he thinking? He's going to give another kill. SK Telecom, and Mata stuck around too long. There's the solar flare to help secure it. Mandu picks up another one as well, and it's 7-1, and a strong gold lead for SK Telecom T1. Death played on to Dandy now, more action in the jungle. There's the Cocoon as well. Dandy getting taken out. This is just absolute disaster for Samsung Ozone.
Dandy didn't pop Ragnarok fast enough there. He thought he could get away without using it, but just the chain of CC from Leona and Elise, you have to respect that. And speaking of respecting, Imp going around through the tri-brush onto the other side. Impact still had his ultimate up. Right now, Ozone just really not keeping track of abilities or timers. They're kind of falling apart. First off, not respecting that teleport up in top lane, and then not even really considering what abilities are on or off cooldown or when to use your own. Ozone playing a little bit greedy, and SK Telecom is absolutely punishing them for it.
Yeah, man, I mean, it looks like we're seeing a little bit of weakness from Samsung Ozone early, and if you give SK Telecom a pixel, they will take the entire resolution of Summoner's Rift. You really cannot do that.
Yeah, Dada here opting for a fast Morellonomicon. Will give him an earlier power spike, but there's not really anybody else to take advantage of that. Imp has a little bit of a delay here in his Blade of the Ruined King, just based on a couple of early deaths right here. SK Telecom aggressively rotating down to the bottom lane. Mata and Imp may be in trouble. They got to get out of there.
I think so, yeah. That's going to be a huge dive on that bottom lane.
It's 4v4.
And here they come. They've got him completely surrounded. This is so bad. Mata got the stun loaded up. So he's ready to try to delay a bit. And it looks like SK Telecom T1 are going to back off a little bit.
Yeah, well, everybody has a ton of wards in that red side jungle right now, so they're fully aware of each other's rotations, the map movement, and so Samsung Ozone manages to make themselves threatening enough to avoid another dive.
Speaking of movement, how about this roaming support play that we're seeing from Mandu this game? Very, very cool to see.
Yeah, Mata doing his fair bit of roaming as well, but they're very confident in Piglet's ability just to take care of himself against this Shyvana lane.
I thought he had been hit by that Zenith blade. That would have been another dead Gragas, I've got a feeling. So SK Telecom trying to just extend that lead a bit, and they are not having too much trouble doing it. Mandu coming in, placing a ward deep. Blue buff being taken here. He's going to chase. And look at that.
They're so scared right now because they don't know. They now see Faker and Bengi coming in, but they didn't know where several members were. They also know that Impact does have that teleport back up again, and so they're just going to give it up.
Yeah, now Faker gets the blue buff. And just more dominance on the map early on from SK Telecom K. Man, they have just got this game locked down already, it seems like. And like you said, Samsung Ozone does scale well in the late game, but I feel like we're kind of reaching that point of no return a little bit almost.
Well, they certainly can't fall any further behind. I mean,
it's a big risk.
Saving grace is there is that dragon that they managed to pick up. You know, there's still less than 3K gold down, so the possibility of a comeback does exist, but now Faker is just insanely scary right now, and what Samsung Ozone has to do is make sure that they can watch the rotations, because where SK Telecom excel. We're seeing what they do right now. Piglet's split pushing. He's the one who's able to clear out the waves very quickly. Everybody else looking for the roam, looking for the opportunity to set up the pick.
Now, what do you think about that rush to Morello Namicon on Dade? Obviously, it's a good item pickup versus Dr. Mundo, but getting it so quickly at this point in this particular game, it seems a bit questionable.
The thing about it is it's very cheap and it's very cost efficient.
That is true.
So it does give him a pretty early power spike, and Piglet gonna last hit that tower right there, push the gold lead for SK Telecom T1 even further.
A Dragon back in 15 seconds too, and SKT is totally ready for this. Impact has his teleport available in the top lane. He can join that fight whenever he wants to.
Yeah, they have total vision control as well. Mandu. Oh, that pink ward doesn't see the ward at the back of the pit right there.
The vision just a little bit lower. Mata doesn't get hit by the cocoon, but it was close, and it's going to be a fight around Dragon. Meanwhile, the split push in the top lane from Impact still happening, and SK Telecom backs up for just a moment.
SK Telecom just needs to delay this, and they know it. If they can take multiple objectives and force a team fight right here, that's how they take advantage of their lead.
Well, they need to make sure they've got a ward available for Impact as well, too. They lost the one in front of Dragon. Here we go. SK Telecom coming in. Cocoon on the bottom. There's the Solar Flare, catching a few members. Imp dives into the Dragon, but gets taken out very quickly by Faker. Meanwhile, a double kill already for Piglet as they chase away Samsung Ozone easily and claim this Dragon. SK Telecom unstoppable on Dragon and 0 for 4 in that team fight.
Well, Doa, what we have to ask ourselves is why didn't SK Telecom go for that Dragon? And the reason was because they had that split push advantage in the top lane, so they were able to push the lane all the way back down to the second tier turret. And Samsung Ozone basically had to go for the Dragon, otherwise they were going to lose their turret up in top. So by delaying that fight just a little bit, SK Telecom maximized their advantage that they had already gotten and made sure they were going to stop.
Mandu coming on to Mata. Mata a little bit too close. And Mandu just playing some spectacular Leona play this game too. I am so impressed. They back off, they don't get the turret. But a kill is a kill is a kill, right? Imp trying to chase down Faker. Faker takes some damage, but here comes Impact from the side. He's going to back off.
Yes, I mean, SK Telecom just ran away with this game from the Dragon fight. I mean, we now are looking at an over 7,000 gold difference and near sure defeat for Samsung Ozone.
Yeah, it's not looking good for Ozone at all.
And unfortunately for Samsung Ozone, their team composition revolves around 5v5 fights. There's not really a whole lot else they can do right here in order to capitalize on the situation. And when they're already just getting absolutely demolished in 5v5s, there's not really a more optimal way to use their composition. Maybe they can rely on Imp to split push right now by himself and hope that he can outduel Piglet.
Well, he has his blade, but not really much else. And I mean, it's conceivable that he could duel Piglet at this point, looking at those items, but it's all about that team fight. And SK Telecom, you know, a team that is no stranger to knowing how to close out games when they've got leads.
And they've been forcing objectives here perfectly.
I don't think Ozone's going to have a chance.
That Dragon fight was just SK Telecom dictating exactly what Samsung Ozone had to do in that situation. They put them in as uncomfortable a split push as possible, forced the fight, nothing that could be done about it. Here's the Baron bait. They've already taken control over the pit. We're looking at 18 minutes right here, but Ozone's going to have to face check it.
Here we go. They're going to come in right now. Nobody decided to go for it, saying, all right, well, maybe we should just let them have Baron at this point. Not worth the fight. They know the possibility of the bait is there. And that's going to allow SK Telecom T1K to take this Baron completely unopposed.
This is flawless play from SK Telecom.
It really is. But what else do you expect, I mean, from these guys? When they want to win, I feel like they can just win.
Well, it's just that they are so good at knowing exactly how powerful they are. You know, it's easy for us who can see everything on the map, who have the gold totals conveniently displayed.
That's a good point.
But to know when you have that advantage, to check in with all your teammates and say, how are you, pardon me, how are you doing this game? Because that's what's hard about being a professional player is everybody communicating with each other, making the calls, making the comm happen. And there we go, another
here we
fight.
go. Yeah, Timberstone, they're going to be able to maybe take out Benki. Benki runs away. There's the Solar Flare. Mandu coming in hard, and already Samsung goes out on the run. Impact, such a beefy front line. Nobody can get through him. And now it's just clean up. Double kill for Faker. Make it a triple kill. and that triple kill could seal the deal in game number 1. The death timers still really low. We are still sub 20 minutes, people, but already Samsung on the ropes. SK Telecom gonna take an easy inhibitor, and I wonder if we may just see a surrender at 20 in game 1 of the grand finals.
It really is difficult to think about how SK Telecom could have played this game more perfectly, Doa, is particularly from a rotational standpoint, because every mistake that Samsung Ozone made was just magnified by SK Telecom's subsequent decisions. And they played it out beautifully, taking an 18-minute Baron, not being afraid to go ahead and make aggressive decisions around objectives, forcing fights when they knew they had an edge, when they knew they could win. And they are looking strong. Samsung Ozone, a lot of issues here early.
Yeah, well, they're sticking in it, but right now, 20 minutes, and there's the surrender. All right, wow. I don't think I have ever seen such a quick game in the grand finals, and that was a raffle stop.